Good afternoon to everyone. I'm here to let me adjust my okay. I'm here to explain much better. I've made a video regarding this Tinubu's about this Tinubu's list document that was released by INEC. I made a video. You guys can go to my page and watch that particular video. On this particular video, the second video I'm doing is just to break it down on a way you guys can understand it. First of all, I want to be objective. As I said, I'm an independent. I don't belong to any party, even in diaspora or anywhere. I don't belong to any party. I tend to be neutral. I'll watch at the candidate. Any candidate that I feel that meets my obligations or what the aspirations of the people, okay, I go and vote for that person. So I'm an independent person. I don't belong to any party. When it comes to the election that is going to be held between APC, ADC, and NDC, despite I'm an independent, if I'm around, I'll still vote for NDC, the presidential candidate. So having said that, I like to play both sides, okay? Most of my video, I try to be, give my own objectives and opinion on how NDC and should run, should organize their party and make sure they win the elections, and also their supporters also. On this particular video, it's going to be different. I've watched all the clips, all right, from all bloggers regarding this certificate issue since on August the 1st. I could see them making a lot of comments, and every one blogger or clips that I watch is all screaming that INEC should disqualify Tinubu. They are looking at everybody that I've listened to are looking at it from one narrow angle. That because he did not list the primary schools, and even the BSc, he did not list the school, is a disqualification for him not to contest. That's what everybody is screaming. You see, one thing you guys are going to separate the politics of it and then the constitutionality of it. There are two different things in this. There's the politics of it, which what everybody is tilting towards. Even I see Atiku was making I see a clip of Atiku saying, did you see in his form, he did not even list the primary school where he attended to. All right. So there are two things you guys have to understand. I'm trying to explain it in such a way that everybody can understand it. If you guys watch my previous video, you might not. I did it formally. This is an informal addressing it to make sure to bring it down so that everybody can understand it. In this certificate issue, okay, there is the politics aspect of it and there's the constitutionality aspect of it. All right. Now, 2023, all this thing has been going on since when he was a governor. He was using this certificate, presenting this certificate. In Lagos, nobody can cross-check him. That's a state election. So he is on top. Everybody's beneath him, so nobody can query his education. But this education records start coming out when it becomes national. In national, you have more accountability. The whole country cannot be under you. When he was in Lagos, he was able to subdue all the Lagosians to be under him. He is the Lord. But when it comes to national, it is impossible for you to subdue everybody to be under your beck and call. So that is why there's a searchlight to that document. So he was caught in 2023 presenting a fictitious document that is not real. Even it has been proved beyond reasonable that that's a fake document. Even he himself knows, even a deaf and blind person knows that that's a fake document. Even the Deloitte letter that says that they don't have any record of him working in that company as an accountant, that's an embarrassing. And he goes about claiming that he's an accountant when he knows that he's not an accountant. So there's a ton of evidence there out there in the media that have proven beyond reasonable doubt that those documents he has been parading for years are fake. They are fictitious. Cannot be believed or accepted. Now, what do you expect him to do in 2027? So, the way I'm going to break it down is that for every clip that I have watched, you guys are looking at it the political angle of it, but there is the constitutionality angle of it that you guys are not looking at. The political angle of it, you guys are right, just to embarrass him, to put more beam on that, which is what you guys are doing correctly as an opposition party supporters. That is where you guys are supposed to be searching the light, is to heap more. You see, when you've cornered somebody, you want to snuff the air out of him. So what do? You keep tying in the knot to make sure he took the last breath. So on the political aspect of it, you guys are doing a fantastic job by being such light and saying all kinds of things and doing all kinds of clips. But one thing you guys forgot is the constitutionality aspect of it, that you guys are not looking at it. And that is the angle that my first video, if you guys go to my page, look at the first video, I'm looking at it, the constitutionality angle of it. The political angle of it, yes, you guys are right. You guys are doing something like an opposition party. But on the constitutionality of it, are you guys right also? So I tend to balance both sides of the equation. Now, as I said in my previous video, on the constitutional aspect of it, Tinubu is right to submit that document the way it is. And mind you, before he submit that document, he has numerous lawyers, attorneys. I don't want to use that name, San. That San has been disputed. There's no repute in that name, San. Okay? That San to me means nothing. I use the word attorney. He has consulted attorneys. He has consulted justice, even the retired and the present, on how he should present this case, this document case, that it could stand the test of the constitutionality backing. And he has done it carefully and meticulously presented it. Now, let's go into the constitutional aspect of it. All right? Now, if you guys look at Section 131 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, I don't know why they use that word as amended. I find it very ridiculous. Okay? Provides several grounds a person can qualify to be elected in the office of the presidency. He gives about 4 different qualification criteria. One is that person must be a citizen of Nigeria by birth. Second is have reached the age of 35. If you are not born in Nigeria, you cannot seek for the office of the presidency. If you are under the age of 35, you cannot seek for the office of the presidency. The third one is a member of political party or sponsored by a member of political party. In Nigeria, we don't have independent candidacy. So if you are independent, you cannot vie for the office of the presidency. You must be sponsored by a political party. You must belong to a political party and to be sponsored by a political party. And then the final one is have been educated up to at least secondary school certificates or its equivalent. Please, friends, I want you guys to listen to me carefully. Let's be objective. Do not crucify me. As I said, as an independent, I'm at liberty to vote any party that I want. In this case, if I'm back home, Nigeria, and the election, I'm going to vote what? NDC presidential candidate. But that does not mean for me to balance the equation. You guys are looking at the political angle of it. There is the constitutionality angle of this, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys in details. Now look at that 4th criteria for you to vie for the office of presidency. You guys have to look at the language used in the Constitution. It says have been educated up to at least secondary school certificate level or equivalent. Up to, not you must be educated having your school certificate. It says up to. Up to. Use the word up to, underline that word. You must have been educated up to at least. At least does not mean you must be educated secondary, say at least have an idea of secondary school certificate or its equivalent. Remember the proviso that's attached or its equivalent. Let's keep that fourth criteria one side. Let's proceed further. That is what the Constitution of Nigeria stipulated for you to vie for the office of the presidency. Okay? Now, the same Constitution says also, okay, in explaining this, in explaining that fourth criteria says, have been educated for up to, at least, it's an adjective, okay, school start certificate or its equivalent. That or equivalent is a proviso. Okay, if you don't have this. Now, but look at the explanation. We have to interpret the Constitution on that fourth criteria. That is where Tinubu this time around play it smartly by getting high attorneys to advise him on how to maneuver this section. Because the first three sections he merited, but where he's having problem is the fourth criteria. How can I maneuver it and be on the constitutional aspect of it? Political aspect of it, I'm going to be hammered. He knows he's going to be hammered on the political aspect, but on the constitutionality aspect of it, he need advice, and he got it rightly this time around. Now, let's look at what the Constitution says, my friends. The Constitution does not expressly, the Constitution, if you look at the Constitution, it does not expressly require a candidate, okay, to list every primary school or secondary school he or she attended on Form EC9. That is not what the Constitution said. The Constitution said you must have at least a higher secondary school or equivalent. It did not say you must list all the primary or secondary school that you've attended on those forms. That is one. Rather, what the Constitution says, or it says, the constitutional requirement is that the candidate possesses at least the minimum educational qualification prescribed by Section 131 sub D. 131 sub D. Possess at least. Did not say you must list. Okay? Did you possess it? All right, well, let's keep going forward. I want to explain everything better. I'm trying to explain in my first video that I did. If you guys watched the first video, I did another video on the presidency certificate, but I'm trying to break them down the way you guys can understand it better more. Now, we have to look at that the section 131 sub D. Okay? Now, in addition to that, okay, section 138, remember you said you have to possess at least minimum educational qualification, possess it. But the Constitution did not say you have to list it in that form. And I'm going to tell you why he did not list it. We're going to get to that point. Now, in section 318 of the same Constitution, okay, require a candidate to list in section 318 of the same code, defines school. Look at how the Constitution defines school. That's why I say let's look at, there's the political aspect of it and there's the constitutional aspect of it. I'm trying to paint a picture on why I said he will never be disqualified. He passed the mark. He played it smartly this time around. Forget about what other people are telling you. Oh, yes, you guys are doing your political opponent job. You are doing fine. Now, section 318, okay, define school certificate or its equivalent broadly. Okay, it includes not only a secondary school certificate, but also other education or professional qualifications, and in some circumstances, evidence of education, work experience considered equivalent in the same Constitution. Okay, he defined it broadly. He didn't just say you must possess school certificate or secondary school. No. He said even your work experience, you can present your work experience as the equivalent of your school. Okay? Under the same Constitution. evidence of education and work experience considered, are considered equivalent under the Constitution. So your education and work experience can be considered as equivalent. So it's either you have the educational to back it up or you have your work experience to back it up. And that is why he was presenting that certificate that he was an accountant before it was disputed. Okay? Now, that is interpreting that section of that particular criteria number 4. The Constitution did not say he has to list in that form all the primary school he attended. They left it open. It's up to you to list it. But I'm going to tell you, it's not that he cannot list it. Okay? But I'm going to tell you why he did not list it, because he is following his lawyer's advice. This time around, he listened to the attorneys. Otherwise, I know him. He listened to the attorneys, and I'm going to tell you it's the attorneys that filled this form. I'm going to tell you guys why they left it vacant. Now, the next one is, does leaving those sections blank automatically disqualify him? Because he left those areas blank, does it mean INEC can disqualify him for not providing those information to the public to know which school he attended? Okay, the answer is no. INEC cannot disqualify him or anybody in the same situation. This is not peculiar to Tinubu. It's to everyone, including me. You cannot be disqualified to contest election because you did not provide the information in that form for the public to see. Let's keep going forward. Leaving that primary and secondary school section blank does not automatically, make a candidate constitutionally ineligible to contest for the office of the presidency. Okay? Rather, what we should focus ourselves is whether there are certain things we should focus. Okay, there are 4 things, or I said there. It's whether the candidate possesses the constitutional minimum educational qualification. Remember, the Constitution says it's either you possess minimum educational qualification or work experience. Okay, if we say that Tinubu did not go to school, he cannot prove it, can we also say he does not have work experience? Can we? The Constitution says either this or that. So even if we cry from heaven from now to tomorrow and say because he leave that blank, he's not qualified. No. What about the work experience? That is one. Secondly, whether the information supply is false. Let me tell you guys why he did not put it there is because of this number 2. Instead of me to provide the information that I'm going to be found liable as false information and get disqualified, I will leave it blank. Yes, leaving it blank does not mean you'll be disqualified. It's your own protection not to provide an verifiable, forceful information that can disqualify you. You don't want to incriminate yourself by still putting those false information that you know that it's lie. Something that has been proven that the whole document you submitted were all fake. So why should I present them again? You are tempting your fate. So if he put that information, you guys are going to scrutinize and find out that, oh, this information again is false. With that ground, he can be disqualified because he provides false information in a form. So rather than incriminating himself by providing false information, he left that area blank, which also is constitutional, is allowed. You can put not applicable, or you leave it blank. Still, I'm going to give you guys more information on that. Now, the third one is whether any omission amount to false declaration or constitutional breach. Because he did not fill that form is an omission, does that defy the Constitution? or whether the supporting documents satisfy the legal requirement. Okay, then simply leaving field blank is not by itself the same as proving that the candidate lacks the required qualification. For the fact that he leave it blank does not mean he does not provide the required qualification. No. I'm going to tell you two things. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you why. I'm just going step by step. Towards the end, I'm going to now tell you legally why this is backed up. He met the requirement. No any court can disqualify him based on this information he provided on two key grounds. Following, I'm not going to mention it, but we are going to go down. So simply leaving the field blank is not by itself as proving that the candidate lacks the required qualification. No. So because he left it blank does not mean he can be no. Because if I provide an information that can be verified that is false, then knowingly providing false information is a ground of disqualification. But knowingly leaving it blank is not a ground for disqualification. And I'm going to tell you why. There are two things. Now let's go to what about listing only the BSc without the university institution here? He got that BSc. Okay, what about that? Now, if a candidate merely wrote BSc, okay, I'm trying to explain that my video number 1 that I did, the way you guys can understand it in a very kilo, without identifying the institution that could raise questions about the completeness of that form. However, recent reports indicate that he did not provide the name of the school, but he put the degree that he obtained. But he provide accompanied documents to support that BSc that is not shown or indicated in the form. Okay? So he listed the degree, but did not put the name of the school where he obtained the degree. But in submitting the document, he submitted the degree certificate to that form. Do you know why? Do you guys know why? There are 3 things. Why he did not list the name of the university where he got that degree was Chicago University. Remember, Chicago University is still going on. It has not been concluded. So if he knowingly indicates Chicago State University, that can come back to bite him because it has been proven that he did not attend Chicago University. But in supporting the document, he provided the same Chicago University document to back up that BSc. So if you go to court, say, Judge, he listed BSc, but he did not indicate the university. Why did he leave it blank? Leaving it blank is giving himself an alleyway. He will say, I'm following my lawyer's advice, based on my lawyer's advice. Simple. That have exonerated from any offense. Okay? In North America here, when you are going for lawyer's briefing or advice, or you are doing a mock rehearsal interview in a court, lawyers are going to advise you what to say. Lawyers are going to advise you, why did you do this? Say, I do this based on my attorney's advice. That attorney's advice covers you from absolving from any crime. Instead of you going to start explaining and incriminate yourself, I did this based on my attorney's advice. Simple, clean, and short. So if you go to court and the judge says, and you guys are saying to him, why you listed the degree but you didn't put the school? Say, I did that based on my attorney's advice. Simple, case closed. The attorneys will take over from there. So you see, he listed the school, the degree, but not listed the school. Remember, that school is still in contention. They are denying that the certificate bears a woman's name, but he is a male, which will verify that he did not attend that Chicago University. So he put the BSc. He cannot put another university because there's no new university for it to put. So what he did was to put BSc, but in supporting that BSc, he gave them the copy of the certificate. So he did not write it in the form, but he gave them that certificate. So you cannot say to him that he's providing false information in that form. Because if he writes it there, he's committing crime. You knowingly provide false information in that form. So the best way is to put the degree, don't put the school, but support the document with it. And if asked, why didn't you fill it in there? I'm following my attorney's advice. Case closed. The same thing why he left those secondary school blank. Why didn't you indicate the primary and secondary school instead? I'm acting on attorney's advice. Period. Case closed. If you are going to a court or you're going for police interview and you have already consulted a lawyer, coach you what to say, and when you're going to interview room and say, well, the police are going to be putting pressure on you, once you keep using the word, I'm acting on attorney's advice, and they'll stop the interview. They know that they can't get any information away from you. Once they keep interviewing you, coming from different angles to see if you're going to open up, you say, I cannot speak based on my attorney's advice. That is the end. That interview will end. I cannot say further based on my attorney's advice. I cannot say further based on my attorney's advice. I cannot say further based on my attorney's advice. Simple. The police cannot go further because you've been coached what to say. Instead of you going there and be opening your mind and implicate and put yourself in more trouble, when they ask you a question, I cannot speak based on my attorney's advice. Or I take Fifth Amendment. So why he left those areas blank is that he's acting on attorney's advice. If you go to court, that case is going to die. Because constitutionally, he merited. He checked all the boxes. Okay, so that is that. Now, when it comes to INEC, okay, what should INEC do? INEC has no power to disqualify any candidate. INEC is just only administrative. Okay, what should INEC do? Under the Nigerian electoral framework, INEC role is primarily administrative at this stage. Fairly, they are doing what they're supposed to do, publish the document, and that is it. So, publish the candidate personal particulars for public scrutiny, which it has done, one. To receive, now what INEC is going to do now is to receive objections and legal challenges from any person who believes the information submitted is false or does not meet constitutional requirement within the period provided of the electoral law. So now they have published it. What INEC is going to be waiting, is there any challenges or objection to this document submitted? And then thirdly, allow the court now to determine dispute over qualification or alleged misinformation or the constitutionality of that candidate based on the information they provided. So that is where you're going to test that form he submitted if it meets the constitutionality eligibility to contest that election. At this stage, INEC has no power to disqualify any candidate based on the information released so far. I'm trying to be objective. Okay? As I said, I will vote NDC any day, anytime. But there are two things involved in this, the political aspect of it and the constitutionality aspect of it. All whatever I'm seeing is the political, all the clips I'm seeing since yesterday is the angle of the political aspect of it, which you guys are doing fine because you guys are the opposition party. You're going to keep hammering, even though when you know that he merits constitutionally, he passed it. All right. Now, my overall assessments, okay, is based on the Constitution alone. The omission of the primary and secondary school details from the EC form does not automatically mean President Tinubu is constitutionally ineligible to contest the presidency. Whether he satisfies Section 131 depends on whether he possesses the constitutionally required educational background and whether his declarations are truthful. And one thing again you guys are going to watch. Did you guys did you guys check that form to see who signed that form? There is where Nigerians are not clever. If I ask Nigeria, who can boldly and say this is the signature of Tinubu, can anybody tell me this is a known signature of Tinubu? If you guys watch in Western world, everybody knows Trump's signature. If you go to Europe, most of them, once they get into office, they publish their signature. They sign a form. You see them, when they sign a form, they turn it so that the camera can capture the signature for record purposes. If I ask any Nigerian now who knows Tinubu's signature, nobody can tell because the signature is hidden. So even though we see that from somebody's sign, can we say that this is Tinubu's signature? Because one thing that I have not seen in that form or been shown is who signed that particular form. Is it Tinubu's signature or is it the chief of staff that signed it or who? Because that is one area you guys should pinpoint. Who put the signature on that or the lawyer? Because the lawyer is not supposed to sign for him. Nobody's supposed to sign that form except the person sitting for the presidency supposed to sign that form. Nobody, even the lawyer, nobody is supposed to sign that form because they are not the one contesting for the office of the presidency. So that is the area where I expect able to find. INEC want to see who signed that particular signature because if you guys know his signature, you should be able to tell, is he the one that signed that form? Because you might go to court and say, oh, I'm not the one that signed it. When he has been cornered. And you guys have been fooled, been dragged in one section without being your searchlight. Who signed that form? You have to make sure that that is Tinubu's signature on that form before you proceed to court. Because if you proceed to court and say, I did not sign the form, I thought my lawyer signed the form. How can a lawyer sign a form when you are contesting the presidency? You are the one who's supposed to sign the form. All right? So that is why I say I'm going to break it down. Now, let me go for the final thing. Why you also leave that area blank. I've given you guys why he is acting on attorney's advice. So, which is clever. Okay? Why did you leave it blank? I'm acting on attorney's advice. You can't go further than that. Now, the other one is there's something we call recall. There's a word we call recall. And this is a tip of an advice I'm going to give to everybody. Anytime you are being interviewed by a security agent like the police, you are being invited for an interview. Before you go for an interview, you have to consult your lawyer, and both of you are going to strategize on how to tackle it. When you go, a police invite you or any agency invite you for an interview or a discussion, before you get into that office, they have everything before you. They're only trying to confirm your words. Does it match what they have? And looking for loopholes where you're going to make a mistake. They're going to trip you. They're going to come in different angles. They're going to ask you questions in 3 different ways to see if you're going to be consistent. And if you are going to an a police interview, all right, do not be precise in giving dates, even if you know the dates. They ask you, oh, do you know the time? Even if you know the time, do not be precise in saying exactly, yes, I know the time, this is the time. No, you are cornering yourself in one corner that you cannot escape it. Because what they have on file might be different. Even if you know the real time, do not come out boldly and say, yes, this is the time. Because they're going to ask, are you sure? You said yes. And they're recording those interviews. I'm going to tell you the way to avoid being precise in answering, giving a specific time and date. Or they want you to remember something that happened 2-3 years ago. Even if you can vividly narrate it, do not be certain in giving your narrations. Because that narrations can put a holes on those narrations. And then you corner yourself. You might not be the suspect, your hands might be clean, but the way you present yourself here can put you that you're part of the suspect. There are ways to navigate those areas and leave yourself a leeway to get out of if you see that things are not going fine. Now, if you go for an interview, police interview or any interview, and they're asking you questions, just say, instead of going straight to the point, say, I recall. always use the word recall. When you say the word recall, you are not being precise. You are still thinking, you are still remembering, you are not sure. I recall so time. 3 4. I recall 3 4. For the fact that you put the recall and they note it down, they cannot corner you, because that word recall, you are not saying for certain that is the exact time. Oh, Mr. D, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I recall sometime last week. I recall. Just use the word consistently. I recall, because they are going to be recording. I recall I saw him standing. Even if you know you saw him precisely, I recall I saw him standing there by so time. I recall it's around 3 o'clock. I recall. Recall exonerate you, give you leeway in case after they let you go and they go and play your interview and see what on fire. There are loopholes. And if you have a good lawyer, they go to court. They cannot pin it down on you, because you'll be using recall. I recall. Recall is not certainty. Recall is not for sure. You are just sure. You are not sure precisely what you say, even though you know that what you are saying might be 90% accurate. But recall give you a leeway to exonerate yourself if you find yourself cornered. But when they ask you, oh, Mr. D, do you know? He said, oh, yes, it was 7 o'clock yesterday. And they asked, are you sure? He said, yes. It means you are certain. And then you said 7 o'clock, but at 6 something, then how do you explain how 7 o'clock? So that's why if you consulted a lawyer, you go for an interview with the police, they'll accompany you, but they will do mock trial in his office there, how to answer questions with the police officers doing investigation. Do not be certain in giving time and date. Always use recall. I recall. Go to the Western world, look at all those crime scene interview. When they invite the suspect into the office, you see using the word I recall. That recall protect you from being accused or charged, because you are not certain in what you are saying, even though you are providing information. So what Tinubu is doing there is that he's not, even though if he knows the school he attended, but he's not sure of the date. So I rather leave it blank. If you call for an oral interview, you may say, oh, I recall I attended something King's College, because he's not certain. So that is why he's using that proxy recall. That's why he's not going to put it down there, because it's not, even if he's sure of the school, but he wasn't sure of the date. So he left it there just to protect himself and give himself a leeway. So that's why I said on this particular form, constitutionally, he cannot be disqualified. He's acting on attorney's advice. So that is why I say I'm going to explain this video in such a way that you guys can understand that constitutionally he cannot be disqualified. Leaving a form blank does not mean it's a false information or no. Because the Constitution did not say you must put it down. All it says you have to possess this or the equivalent. So whatever he does on that form, but where you guys are going to be, I want everybody to make sure is somebody should find out who signed that form. Is it Tinubu that signed? Because he must be the one to sign that form, not anybody. We don't know his signatures. You don't want to go to court and see that it's only the chief of staff that signed or the attorney that signed. He can say, I'm not the one that signed, even though the information there is wrong. So that is why I said I'm going to break everything down for you guys to understand why I say you guys are looking the political angle of it, but not the constitutional angle of it. And I'm coming through the way of the constitutional angle of it, that he cannot be disqualified based on leaving those areas blank. All right, friends? So please, I want to hear from you guys. Leave a view for me, leave a comment for me, and then let me read from you guys and I will respond. And if this is your first time, please share this video. And if you have not subscribed to my page, kindly do so. All right, join my page, and then I'm going to keep watching my videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm going to try to respond to I saw an interview that Soludo did. I'm going to respond to that interview. And then another one with Kenneth Okonkwo again. I'm going to respond to those interviews. All right. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully to see you guys soon. Keep watching. Bye-bye.